Oops. Oh, there you are. Thanks. So, hello everyone, and thank you for coming. Thanks for being here. So, once upon a time, we believed that you couldn't turn around your biological clock. And I'm Vesanto Melina. I'm a registered dietitian and author, and I started teaching nutrition at UBC here in 1965. So of course, I've seen this huge evolution. There's still a few chairs, one in the front, one back there. Yeah, put your hand up if there's a chair near you. Yeah. So, we've really seen some big changes in the last decades. Well, what's that? 5.5 decades. I started teaching nutrition. And so I've seen this big change over time and leaps of progress about turning around chronic disease. Here's one. Thank you. But we Canadians are living longer now, but not necessarily better. I'm afraid the chairs are just, oh, there's one there? I don't know, maybe not. We're finding that the average Canadian lives to age 84 for a woman, just a bit less for a man. But the last 12 years can be in poor health. So this is quite common. And since these are averages for Canadians, living to 84 but only the last 12 years of poor health, we find that half the population is actually doing worse and half are doing better. So for choosing which half you want to be in, as you age, consider these questions. What are you heading for? What sort of wheels do you want to be using? Like cycling around the seawall or these other wheels? Will you be spending time in medical visits or with people that are dear to you? How comfortable will you be in your body? I've been fascinated over these decades about how we can turn around chronic disease. How healthy will your brain be? It seems for all the different chronic diseases, the remedies are really very similar for the prevention or the treatment. How will you feel fulfilled in your later years? How will you spend time with your grandchildren? What trips will you be taking? So these are real choices. Yet we can create the future we want. Well, we may not be able to get our kids to have children, so we get grandchildren. But apart from that, we can borrow grandchildren sometimes. So how do we do this? Well, one person was a real pioneer in this, Dr. Dean Ornish, based in San Francisco, and he still continues to be a pioneer. And I had the immense privilege of working with him back in the 90s on reversing chronic disease. He found that you could turn around heart disease without drugs and surgery. He had an interesting group of people, 48 people who had a moderate to severe cardiovascular disease, and he found that for half the group, he put them in, they were randomized to one group with standard medical advice, and one group with experimental group with lifestyle changes. And he did angiograms at the beginning and end of a year. It cost about $1 million per person. The lifestyle changes in the lifestyle group were 4. Don't smoke, of course. Exercise moderate amounts daily. Reduce stress. And eat a low-fat, mainly plant-based diet. What he found with the angiograms was at the end of a year that people's arteries, coronary arteries that were blocked, actually opened up. And the group with the standard medical advice, their coronary arteries stayed closed and even more of them became closed. This was groundbreaking research in the medical textbooks. Before that, we thought you can't reverse heart disease. Now, Ornish has gone on to do further research. He's been working with telomeres lately, and he had groups of men with mild to moderate prostate cancer, and he found that their telomeres could lengthen with these lifestyle changes. What are telomeres? Well, they're the ends of chromosomes that prevent the chromosome and the DNA in the chromosome from unraveling. They actually control cellular aging. So as the telomeres shorten, our lives tend to shorten and our incidence of disease goes up. But the more people change these 4 lifestyle factors, the telomeres actually lengthen. So we can reverse chronic disease. And people around the world are starting to do research in this in a number of different areas. They're interested in all kinds of chronic diseases because this is what's showing up. So the lifestyle changes, just to go into a few more details, well, don't smoke. That's pretty obvious. Get moderate exercise daily. Now that does not mean that you go out and do marathons. In fact, that's probably not a great idea. But you do a half an hour of walking a day. Instead of meeting your buddy at the donut shop, you'll walk around the park for half an hour in your visit. Do gardening. If you go to Costco and you're at the far end of the lot, you go, oh good, I get a bit of walking in. So we find that more people beyond Ornish are doing this kind of research. And we find for seniors specifically that if we do activity daily, just half an hour, but make sure you're moving. And it can go up to an hour is really good. You actually lengthen your telomeres. This is not just Ornish's research now, but all kinds of researchers around the world. Next, for a longer, healthful life, you limit your stress. And of course, there's all kinds of different ways to do this. You might play music, you might meditate, you have a spiritual group. You also sleep well. And there's a number of approaches to this. But it really helps, and particularly with relation to Alzheimer's disease. I think you're finding sleeping is really important. Also, nurture your social circle. Whoops. And that can be I went to Vancouver's community centers a few weeks ago. I went to 3 of them. The Parks Board has all these wonderful community centers. I went to Killarney, Trout Lake, and Hillcrest. And I saw all these people having such good times with different programs. The happy, it was wonderful. I felt so blessed in Vancouver what we have with our Parks Board. There's also things called meetup.com. You can look for what kind of photography group or writing or just hanging out and discussing things. Just all kinds. You can look in your area of British Columbia, Burnaby, wherever you are. And so these are ways to connect. Also, I have the privilege of living in Vancouver co-housing on East 33rd near Victoria. That's where my home office is too. And we have an arrangement that the architecture was built to support community. And we have roof gardens and a big common house. It's just a beautiful place to live. Our kitchens look inward so we can see each other, but you can put your blinds down if you don't want anybody to come to your door. So it works both ways. And cohousing.ca is showing where there are a number of these in British Columbia. There are, I think, 9 now in existence in BC. The only one in Vancouver yet, the one's being built. And there are a number that are forming, another 11 that are forming or in development. So this is the architecture that's built to support community. What helps you to reduce your stress? Just think for a moment. What are some ways that you reduce stress? Also, how can you nurture your social circle? This really matters, and it turns out in relation to chronic disease, this is one of the things that really works. The fourth lifestyle change is, of course, my area of specialty, which is eating a more plant-based diet. Now, people go, yeah, but that's a really lot of work. I don't know if I can do that plant-based diet. But we find that usually people have about 10 recipes that they make all the time. And they find that it's a bit of a transition to get your new 10. But once you've done it, it's not harder. So, what I find is often we've got already 3 recipes that we know that are pretty plant-based. And they might need a tiny tweak. Then we know 3 more that we can do a pretty big tweak, like leaving out the ham in the pea soup kind of thing, maybe changing a few spices. And then you maybe need to know 4 more or 3 more that are new to you. And that's really fun to do with a variety of friends or going to meetups. We have a meatless meetup once a month. And by the way, if you want to talk to me about consultations or meetups or any of this stuff, my booth is right there behind. Oh, Cam's just waving. Yeah, so it's right there. Anyway, just come on over after because our times are limited for these talks. But anyway, it doesn't have to be such a big, horrendous job to switch to more plant-based. You've got some recipes on your chairs, and I don't know if everybody got one, but this is from one of our books. I have 14 books now in 14 languages. It just came out in Russian this month. So they're just all kinds of different things. So we made them at different ways, different complexities. But this one I really love because it only has 3 ingredients plus water. Now that's easy, and because it's red lentils, it will cook in 20 minutes, very fast. That Dietetics curry paste is brilliant, by the way, if you like curries. A multicolored bean salad. You just open a few cans of different colored beans, have some corn niblets, red pepper to make it really pretty, and then this delicious marinade. And what I find is to have a few things ready. You walk in the door, you're tired, you don't want to cook a big thing, and you've got a bean salad there. Maybe you've got a salad in Tupperware that just has romaine. Anyway, it comes together very quickly, and we've got very good dressings in our books. And our Kick Diabetes Cookbook is our latest, and it has all recipes that have no oil, no sugar. So it does have dates for sweeteners, it has things like avocados and tahini for fats, but they all deliver nutrition. They're not just fat and not just sugar, as a lot of recipes are. So this one's actually used beyond diabetes for weight management and heart disease and hypertension. And here are some of the recipes. But we had a great team of recipe testers across BC. We just had people who were gourmets, people who could barely know which end of the pot to hold. You know, it was just like a variety. But it ended up having good tasting recipes. This is another recipe that you have, these bliss balls. I love them, I keep them in the freezer. And you can see, again, we've got sweetness, we've got this kind of richness, but it's without any added sugar or oil. These are really good. My other books are a lot about nutrition. So some of these were recipes, but our books are the standards in plant-based nutrition. And they've won Canada Book Awards, 2 Book of the Year in the US, and the American Library Association calls them the go-to books on vegan nutrition. Another fun little thing, if you have a cell phone that you like apps on it, is the happycow.net. Or you can use the internet, print recipes. Say you're going to Timbuktu or Edinburgh, you can just find out what recipes or restaurants are there that are more plant-based. Now this is my last point, and it's about fasting. So people are really interested in this, and if you look at the website nutritionfacts.org, you'll see a number of little clips. Dr. Michael Greger, and he's a stand-up comic, so it's quite fun, but he's an MD as well. So you can look at different things about fasting. But my last thing is I want to tell you this story, because last fall I wanted to lose 20 pounds. And I'm not very good at discipline, really, to tell you the truth. find life interferes. I'll get this plan. I wanted to go 20 pounds lighter, but, well. So I decided to go to a place in California that does water fasting. And I get hypoglycemia, so I was a little, I don't know if this is going to work, but a friend of mine, Dr. Michael Clapper was there, and I thought, boy, if Michael's there, I'm going to really see if it works, and I trust him a lot. So I went down, and I actually did 14 days on water, and I have really had an enjoyable time. It was very pleasant, very supportive. So, water fasting is interesting. This place is not expensive. It's like the cost of a hotel room. It's not like some expensive spa. But I was very interested because they have significant amounts of research. National Institute of Health sponsors some of their research. They've had guys with hypertension, 160 heavy-duty mechanic operators in California that had hypertension, and the company thought, well, we don't want those guys to keep costing us so much money. We're going to put them on this program, and they did get over their hypertension. Type 2 diabetes, asthma, rheumatoid arthritis. I saw several people with cancer. Now, what happens when we fast? We free our energy to heal. 80% of our energy goes into digestion normally. And if you remove that stress from the body, your cells can start to heal and normalize. You also start retraining your taste buds and your appetite, so you don't fill up and quite so much after. You just don't feel like it. There's medical supervision that's just excellent and re-entry. So, by the way, I didn't do this to promote that place, like some kind of promo deal. I was just so impressed. So here's me, before November 23rd and after. I stayed for a month. And I did lose by 20 pounds. I was so happy. You lose a pound a day on water fasting, and then I lost a few more. But the real magic for me was seeing the reversal of chronic disease. I met people whose diabetes turned around, people whose cancer had gone into remission completely and was 8 years later, people who'd lost 90 pounds doing 3 water fasts. I was very impressed. Like, we can really do this. And it's not tremendously hard. You can do it gradually. Our books on diabetes show the no salt, no sugar, no fat. But you can also do it more quickly. Like fasting, you definitely lose a pound a day. So I will be over at the booth if you want to chat more, just behind at booth 206. And there are cards there with the websites. But I'm just delighted to have all of you here. And so I'm going to take my questions over there instead of here, I think. Should I do questions?